One of my first parties was were a bunch of church ladies, I call them. So I booked this party. There were 20 girls that were there. I always arrived on time, and because I feel that's really important when I got there. And usually, I was used to doing parties, any of the parties that I had done, there was always girls coming in late. Not this time. They were all sitting, hands folded, waiting for me. So I introduced myself, I quickly set up my table, and I started with the sexy name game. Well, the beautiful Bev was about as raunchy as they got.
Wow.
I couldn't get a smile out of them. And I'm thinking, I just drove 2 hours, and these girls are like, I couldn't read them. I didn't know. I asked who was married. They were all pretty much married. There was a couple of girls that were single. I couldn't get. I was funny. I didn't get any laughs. I couldn't get it. So I'm thinking now, all right, I'm going to just get this show over with, get out of here and spend some quality time with my mother, and then I'll just go back to Miami. So I figured, okay. So I got through the presentation. They didn't ask questions, but they were all very interested in all the products. When they were passing them around, but there was no giggles and laughs. It wasn't your typical party at all. So I go to the ordering room, took the first couple of orders, and then this girl comes in. Her name was Rosa. And Rosa comes in, and I'm looking at her order, and she had totaled it. It was over $300 worth of products. And I'm looking, and they're all things for men. Cock rings, and at the time we had a DVD that was for guys. All of these things for a man. And she sits down, she says, I'm getting a divorce. So I'm looking at the order, and I'm thinking, okay, she's got a boyfriend. What, it didn't make sense. So she said, I met my husband when I was 15. He's the only man I've ever been with. We have a son together. She said, I've never had an orgasm.
Wow.
She said, the sex is horrible. She says, but I love him very much. And he handed me divorce papers. It's come between our marriage. She says, I don't want it, but she says, I'm very unhappy. So I thought, if I got him all these things, maybe this would help. So I said, okay, let's go through some of the things that you got. So I go through the list. It was like $330, the order. It was great. I give her my card. I said, if he has any questions, if he wants to talk to me, whatever, feel free to call me. Next morning, I'm on the turnpike. I'm driving home. My phone rings, and a strange man says, hello, is this Karen? And he said, you don't know who I am, but my wife was at a party that you did last night. I thought, oh shit, I'm in trouble. I'm in so much trouble. So I said, I knew exactly who it was. It was Rosa's husband. And he said, and he was very stern. So I said, yes, we had a party, and your wife bought quite a bit of things that she thought maybe you would have some questions. Is that why you're calling? He said, did she tell you our situation? I said, well, she did mention a little bit. I didn't want to give too many, that I knew the whole story, but I said she did mention. He said, let me just tell you something. She came over last night to pick up our son because he was staying with me while she was at that party. And she came home and she brought the catalog and she brought all these things that she checked off and that you told her you recommended. And we've been talking the whole night. We haven't been to sleep yet. He said, I want to tell you, did she tell you that we were getting a divorce? And I said, she mentioned it. He said, I ripped up the divorce papers this morning.
Oh, gives me chills.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still get chills. He said, now I have some questions about some of these products. I'm like, ask away. So that was Rosa. Rosa is still married. They call me like maybe once a month or so, and check in, and get spice up their bedroom activities. That was the shift for me. I got into this business. It was easy to get into. At the time I had to buy a kit, it was $500 with this other company. It was fun money, and I was meeting great women. After Rosa, it shifted. I started meeting these incredible women, other women that had never had an orgasm, other women with just issues in the bedroom or issues with their relationship. And I started helping them. And I always say, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a sex therapist, but I started changing people's lives.